So, Joe Biden officially clinched victory in the Electoral College yesterday, as we told you that was going to happen on December 14th. 270 electoral votes. He officially passed that over for a total of 306. That is where things stand currently. While they're mashing up against current political events, it's funny, yesterday was a huge news day by all empirical terms. It was like, first people getting the vaccine, the Electoral College happens, and then this happened. Currently, Trump Bill Barr resigned of his own accord, according to him. Let's throw this tweet up there on the screen saying that Bill Barr is going to be leaving the Department of Justice on December 23rd. He's going to be wrapping some things up over the holidays, and he will be departing. Now, a lot of internal reporting and some more I can give you is from people who are slightly familiar with the situation, is that Barr is pretty much the only one in the cabinet who will give it right back to Trump. He has been reluctant to do it. He doesn't do it in public. I mean, even his resignation letter was like, you were an amazing president and all that. But Trump pushed him hard on this election fraud stuff. And he was basically like, no, absolutely not. So first of all, he didn't give him what he wanted. Then came out, publicly rebuked him, saying that absolutely didn't happen. He did not give the White House any heads up or anything whenever he told the Associated Press. And then Trump was ultimately really pissed that Barr followed DOJ protocol by keeping the Hunter Biden investigation secret. And after a while, Barr was basically fed up, and he's like, look, they fire me. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, here's the thing about Bill Barr, and there are plenty of actions that he's taken in this administration that I haven't been crazy about whatsoever. But I think there was a misreading, potentially intentionally, of him and his motivations of being just like a Trumpian sycophant.
Yeah, he's not.
When in fact, he has this very, I think, dangerous view, but this very specific ideological view of the unitary executive and the idea that the executive branch should be incredibly powerful. Like, he has a fairly extremist view in that regard. And because he had that ideological proclivity, he backed Trump and a lot of his more, norm-breaching actions because they lined up with his ideology. That never meant that when Trump is doing, and we're going to play a clip for you of Stephen Miller in a moment that's like embarrassing, when Trump is doing just completely indefensible, ridiculous, like, democracy-destroying acts, that he was going to go along with it. Now, he did back Trump in some things like, potentially using the Insurrection Act that, again, I found extremely dangerous, et cetera. But I think it was a misreading to see this as an act of coming out of, like, being a sycophant versus a true ideologue.
That's the difference.
Bill Barr is a true ideologue, and he's one of the few within this administration.
Yeah.
Most everybody who survived, it was because they just, knew how to kiss the boots and lick the boots or whatever you do to stay in his good graces. And it didn't really come with any sort of particular agenda, certainly not one that they were able to effectuate. So I do think that the dynamic with him is really fascinating. Ultimately, people who thought that he was going to be integral in, like, rigging the election and that he was going to work hand in glove with Trump to have some, like, military coup or, literally change votes or any of that, they were wrong about that. He issues the report that says, look, we didn't find any significant election fraud, which was one of the nails in the coffin that led to the Electoral College certifying the results for Biden yesterday. You do see, look, it's ugly right now, right? You've got majority of the GOP base overwhelmingly don't think the election was legitimate because of Trump's words and his actions and feeding that frenzy and really scaring people and making them feel like they've been robbed. But you do have a number of Republican senators, now that it is official with the Electoral College, starting to come out and call Biden president-elect and say it's time to move forward. So that's at least some, like, marginal improvement. But meanwhile, look, there are still people like Stephen Miller out there ready to float, like, absolute embarrassing absurdities about how Trump is still going to pull it off. Let's take a listen to him yesterday.
The only date in the Constitution is January 20th. So we have more than enough time to right the wrong of this fraudulent election result and certify Donald Trump as the winner of the election. As we speak today, an alternate slate of electors in the contested states is going to vote, and we're going to send those results up to Congress. This will ensure that all of our legal remedies remain open. That means that if we win these cases in the courts, that we can direct that the alternate slate of electors be certified. The state legislatures in Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania can do the same. And likewise, Congress has that opportunity as well to do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing, again, which takes me back to Ross Dowd, that he wrote a column about this, about how the Republicans who actually had responsibility in this situation were all like, no, hell no. But the people who don't have a stake in the actual fight and are just like signing on to things, or Stephen Miller pays no cost to this, right? In terms of the,
he only benefits.
Yeah, right, exactly. Only benefits from his loyalty to Trump in order to keep fanning this stuff, going on Fox and saying this. But Bill Barr, somebody who actually had to pull, to decide whether or not to go along, was like, absolutely not. And your reading of it is right, which is that ideologically, wherever he lined up with Trump, he was going to go along. And I think that is a good thing. But whenever he was not there, especially like on the democracy, he was like, hell no, I'm not going along with this. That's what you saw in Michigan. That's what you saw in Pennsylvania. All of the state legislatures, Governor Doug Ducey in Arizona, Governor Brian Kemp in Georgia, all of these people, and look, I'm not like fans of Ducey or Kemp, or they're much too libertarian for my taste, but they were like, no, we're just not going to go along here. Mm-hmm. And so in every single one of these cases, they stepped up and they were just like, absolutely not. I think Bill Barr, look, I mean, this man never bowed 1 inch to the left, which takes incredible courage whenever you're in a tight position like that. She quashed and killed a lot of these liberal senators who were going after him on the Mueller report, and then stood up to Trump when it actually mattered and decided, like, I will resign rather than go along with your election stuff. It takes real guts, I think, in order to see that.
And I guess just to put, to kind of button this up, like, the media really, they misread Barr. And
they misread everything.
And didn't accurately predict what he would ultimately do and how this would ultimately play out. They did not accurately portray, how this was all going to unfold. And again, this isn't to say there wasn't like nefarious intent or that any of this was good whatsoever. But we always took it as our role, like, look, you're perfectly capable of being outraged for yourselves about everything that's going on. And certainly we're going to express that outrage as well. But we've always felt it was more important to like just explain to people, here's the process, here's what's in the court, here's what's actually happened, and here's what where this is actually going to head. Media not only didn't do that, but when they tried to do that, they were oftentimes incorrect. For example, in misreading how Barr would play into this whole process. They were also incorrect in predicting what Trump's actions would ultimately be. And of course, that also has really damaging consequences because you get people extraordinarily frightened about what's going to happen and, whether the country is going to be able to continue as a going concern or whether the president's going to hold himself up in the White House, have the military and all this stuff. And not that there aren't like crazy, insane people out there who are calling for exactly that, but, someone on the fringe saying it versus it actually happening are two wildly different things. So in any case, they were wrong at every step of the way about what was actually going to unfold and happen. Will they pay a price for it?
Oh's no. Of course not. We all know the answer.
Will they owe up ever to being wrong about it? Of course not. Never. No, they will not. All right, more Rising for you after this.